3, 2, 1.
Woohoo!
Hello, Patriots! Welcome to Stand United. He's Jack. I'm Dennis. Let's stand for Pledge of Allegiance.
While it's still legal, I say that and I mean it.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jack's back from his family cruise.
Yay!
Welcome back. Welcome back, sir.
Look at this, he put me in the corner. Hold on. Take it back.
You know, as always, we got Junior with us, and our fill-in for Jack when he was gone was Mike. He's back there somewhere.
Thank you, Mike. Good job, Mike. Good job.
He's so far behind. He's behind the computers, the screens.
He's almost in the next room.
Yeah, he's not
I
that
am
far
in the
back.
next room.
Oh, sorry, sir.
That threw me out.
So, Jack, what's on your agenda for tonight?
The Durham report, which is why I say let's do the Pledge of Allegiance while it's still legal. Because after you're reading this thing, you would think maybe it might not be so.
So I'm going to get into the American dream a little bit. How the politicians have ruined that dream for millions of citizens. I'm also going to talk about politicians gaslighting the citizens. We all know they do it. I don't think people realize they do it that much. So, Jack, you can start us off for tonight.
All right, the Durham report. We're going to start. This is just the introduction to it. So it starts off with this. State of intelligent community information regarding Trump and Russia prior to the opening of Crossfire Hurricane. Crossfire Hurricane was the name of the operation that the FBI opened against the Trump campaign. So, the FBI headquarters of information from Australia on July 28, 2016 concerning comments reportedly made in a tavern on May 6, 2016 by George Papadopoulos, an unpaid foreign policy advisor to the Trump campaign. The government possessed no verified intelligence reflecting that Trump or the Trump campaign was involved in a conspiracy or collaborative relationship with officials of the Russian government. Neither U.S. law enforcement nor intelligence community appears to have possessed any actual evidence of collusion in their holdings at the commencement of the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. So they started this investigation with nothing. And that's why me and Dennis, for the last 2 years, have been telling you the FBI is not a KGB. Show me a man, and I'll find you a crime. Upon receipt of unevaluated intelligence information from Australia, the FBI swiftly opened the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. In particular, at direction of the Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, Deputy Assistant Director for Counterintelligence Peter Strzok, opened Crossfire Hurricane immediately. The matter was opened as a full investigation without ever having spoken to the persons who provided the information. Further, the FBI did so without 1, any significant review of its own intelligence database, 2, collection and examination of any relevant intelligence from other U.S. intelligence entities, 3, interviews of witnesses essential to understanding the raw information it had received, or 4, using any of its standard analytic tools typically employed by the FBI in evaluating raw intelligence. So they opened this case with nothing.
But they had a title.
Right. The FBI would have learned that their own experienced Russia analysis had no information about Trump being involved with Russian leadership, officials, nor were other in sensitive position at the CIA, the NSA, and the Department of State aware of such evidence concerning the subject. In addition, the FBI records prepared by Strzok in February and March of 2017 show that at the time of the opening of Crossfire Hurricane, the FBI had no information in its holdings indicating that any time during the campaign, anyone in the Trump campaign had been in contact with any Russian intelligence officials. Even after a year, Strzok still had no proof. The speed and manner in which the FBI opened the investigated Crossfire Hurricane during the presidential election season, based on raw, unanalyzed, and uncorroborated intelligence, also reflected a noticeable departure from how it approached prior matters involving possible attempt foreign election interference plans aimed at the Clinton campaign, as described in Section 4, which I will do on another podcast. So they moved very slow with Clinton, like lightning on Trump. The FBI required to deal with the number of proposed investigations that had the potential of affecting the election. In each of those instances, the FBI moved with considerable caution. In one such manner, discussed in Section 4, FBI headquarters and department officials required defensive briefings to be provided to Clinton and other officials or candidates who appeared to be the target of foreign interference. Now remember that, because later on it'll show you how they didn't do that for Trump. In another, the FBI elected to end an investigation after one of its long-time and valuable confidential informants went beyond what was authorized and made improper and possibly illegal financial contributions to the Clinton campaign on behalf of a foreign entity as a precursor to a much larger donation being contemplated. And in a third, the Clinton Foundation matter, both senior FBI and department officials placed restrictions on how those matters were to be handled, such that essentially no investigative activities occurred for months leading up to the election. These examples are also markedly different from the FBI's action with respect to other highly significant intelligence it received from a trusted foreign source, pointing to a Clinton campaign plan to vilify Trump by tying him to Vladimir Putin so as to divert attention from her own concerns relating to her use of a private email server. We all remember that. Unlike the FBI's opening of a full investigation of unknown members of the Trump campaign based on raw, uncorroborated information, in this separate matter involving a purported Clinton campaign plan, the FBI never opened any type of inquiry, issued any taskings, employed any analytics personnel, or produced any analytic products in connection with the information. This lack of action was despite the fact that the significance of the Clinton plan intelligence was such as to have prompted the director of the CIA to brief the president, who was Obama at the time, vice president, who was Biden at the time, their attorney general, director of the FBI, and other senior government officials about the content within days of its receipt. So the information that was against Hillary Clinton was so egregious that they went straight to the top. The president of the United States said, listen, this is what we have on this candidate. Nothing. It was also of enough importance for the CIA to send a formal written referral memorandum to the director, Comey, and the deputy assistant director of FBI's counterintelligence division, Peter Strzok, for their consideration and action. Investigative referral provided examples of information the Crossfire Hurricane Fusion Cell had gleaned to this day. So basically, they haven't looked at it. Not one thing that the CIA had sent. The Crossfire Hurricane investigation. This is the beginning of it. Within days after opening Crossfire Hurricane, the FBI opened full investigation on 4 members of the Trump campaign team: George Papadopoulos, Carter Page, Paul Manafort, and Michael Flynn, an American hero, that guy. No defensive briefings were provided to Trump or anyone in the campaign concerning the information received from Australia that suggested there might be some type of collusion between Trump campaign and the Russians, either prior to or after these investigations were opened. There's the difference right there. Instead, the FBI began working on requests for the use of a FISA authorities against Page and Papadopoulos. The effort, as related to Papadopoulos, proved unsuccessful. Similarly, the initial effort directed at Page was unsuccessful until Crossfire Hurricane investigators first obtained what was designated as company intelligence reports generated by Christopher Steele. The Steele reports were first provided to the FBI in early July 2016, but for unexplained reasons only made their way to the Crossfire Hurricane investigators in mid-September. The reports were ostensibly assembled based on information provided to Steele and his company by a prime subsource, who the FBI eventually determined in December 2016 was Igor Duchenko. So remember, the first from Australia was in July. And they used that one first instead of the second one, which was steel. Our investigation, and when I say our investigation, this is a Durham. Our investigation determined that the Crossfire Hurricane investigators did not and could not corroborate any of the substantive allegations contained in the Steele reporting, nor was Steele able to produce corroboration for any of the reported allegations, even after being offered $1 million or more by the FBI for such corroboration. Further, when an interview by the FBI in January 2017, Duchenko was unable to corroborate any of his substantive allegations in the reports. Rather, Duchenko characterized the information he provided to Steele as rumor and speculation and the product of casual conversation. So, the efforts undertaken by the Crossfire Hurricane investigators working on the Page FISA application. Those efforts included having a confidential informant recorded conversations with Page Papadopoulos and the senior Trump foreign policy advisor. The FBI's own records and recordings established that Page made multiple exculpatory statements to the individuals identified as their informants. But the Crossfire Hurricane investigators failed to make that information known to the department attorneys or to the FISC. Page only made explicit statements refuting allegations contained in the Steele reporting. So in other words, they had recordings of Page and Papadopoulos saying, I don't know any of these people. I don't know what you're talking about. They muted that out and sent it for the FISA application. Should I get into the Steele dossier?
No, I'll do that second.
Okay.
But so no Russia collusion.
So the FBI started this campaign with nothing. They had the name already. The Crossfire Hurricane, but no. To the day it was over, they had no corroborating evidence that caused Crossfire Hurricane, 2 impeachments, the Mueller investigation, and this one. Nothing.
So no Russia collusion. But we have China collusion now.
Yeah, and Clinton's was so filthy that the CIA said, we got to tell the president in one of his clearance reports in the morning. So bad was it that they said, hey, Mr. President, you may want to bring your vice president, you want to bring your department, your attorney general, and the FBI lead to hear what we had to say about this candidate who used to be his Secretary of State.
So the DOJ, FBI, spent millions of dollars of our money on false accusations.
The Mueller investigation cost us $30 million.
Yep, I remember
This
that.
one cost us $6 million.
So
Who knows
$36
what
million.
the Crossfire Hurricane
Then
was.
shift with this witch hunt of impeachment, all the money he spent on these hearings.
These hearings that he changed the rules from the Constitution to put those hearings about the first impeachment down in the basement where no Republicans were allowed to come in.
So Mueller said no collusion. They should have ended there. Durham said there's no collusion, but still Schiff and these Democrats say there is collusion.
To this day.
How stupid is everybody?
And we're going to continue to read this. And this section 4, because here's the index. I downloaded this.
It's 316 pages long.
316 pages, about 306 pages of actual facts. But I'm going to do this section 4 on a later day. I'm going to read through because I haven't read through it yet. I just read through this. Section 4 is this is the dirt under the fingernails. This is section 4. I have it all highlighted on everything I'm going to do, and I'll break it down smaller than this. The reason why this is so big and so long. As I was reading it, I could not believe my eyes. This is so Banana Republic. You know what this is? This is corrupt bureaucracies that are so big and so corrupt and moving so much on their own that the corrupt appointed officials cannot even slow it down anymore.
No, that makes me very disappointed in the citizens of this country. How do we let this country get so out of control?
I mean, we do this show every week. This is not going to be on a computer forever. They're going to take this down.
Why do we let our politicians act the way they do? Why have we given these tyrannical politicians the authority to destroy America? America is hard to recognize already. with all the turmoil created by these men and women who cause nothing but chaos. These ignorant a-holes we call politicians have gaslighted we the people for far too long. Republican and Democratic politicians and all presidential administrations have failed to secure the border with Mexico, even though they say it is secure.
Yeah, and they say, "Oh, we're waiting for the Republicans in the House to do something about the immigration." There are laws; they're just not enforcing them.
Yep.
There are immigration laws since the beginning of this country's founding.
Politicians have failed to uphold their constitutional duty to follow the Constitution. But the problem is, we the people, we let them get away with it. We don't hold them accountable for any of their bullshit. Bush gaslighted us with the Iraq War. Obama and Trump gaslighted people almost daily. The media gaslights the people every day by spitting politicians' lies and deceit.
They're the worst.
Disinformation.
They're the ones that didn't report. They didn't report this. They lied about it, and then they won awards over it.
Yep. Pulitzer Prizes.
Yeah.
We don't take them to task for lying to us. We, the people, have failed our children, our grandchildren, as well as future generations for buying into these lies of today. Biden has taken gaslighting to another level with all the stories he tells us, all the misinformation, the lies. Not only with immigration, but the state of our economy, which for the past 2.5 years has sucked.
You're gonna
I can't think of
tell
another word.
everybody what gaslighting means, right? The
Eventually.
true, the day.
Yeah, today I'll let them know on this podcast. But it's kind of sucked. I don't want any other words, but
Yeah.
Highest inflation since President Carter. And something we don't hear from this president and politicians anymore is that of the American dream. Where is the American dream?
Carter got to live long enough to find out he's not the worst president in American history.
Nope. The dream has become a nightmare for most of us. And we have no clue how to get out of this rut Biden has put us in. Even other countries were ruining their economies because of one man today.
Yep.
You know, when we were kids growing up, the American dream was to attend college, get a good job that you enjoyed, buying a new car, find the love of your life, and settling down. Then buying that house of your dreams where you can raise your family. But all that is out of reach for most of America. And I don't see any relief anytime soon. Do you, Jack?
No. I mean, you have a uniparty.
You know, that's all it is. You know, in 2015, the average home price of a home was $180,000, under that. But at the end of 2022, the average price of a house staggered $348,000. It's over a 60% increase.
60%.
And that's not equity,
That's right.
that's material.
Yep. That's just buying a home with nothing. A little bit of amenities, not many.
So when you buy a house at $348,000, how many years do you have to own it before you can get any equity out of it and have a party retirement like it used to be, where you can sell it and downsize and retire? Never.
It's got to be about 20 years now before you start building up anything. You know, I know paychecks didn't go up that much, which Biden gaslighted us again by telling us we would see big increases in our salaries. None.
None. I didn't see not one in mine.
Nope. Now with the current banking crisis, it's even harder to get a loan. I'm going to give you a picture to show you what I mean.
Well, plus too, if you have good credit, your interest rate's going to be even higher, so they can give it to somebody that doesn't have good credit.
Hopefully that doesn't go through.
It went through, didn't it? Started May 1st.
I thought it didn't go through yet.
Started May 1st.
So we're screwed there.
Wow. Did they really pass that?
Mm-hmm.
And that's Republicans and Democrats.
I think it was party line, if anything. Was it?
I think it was another uniparty. It's always party line.
You know?
That's
So on a
unbelievable.
$350,000 house, under that price would be a fixer-upper around here. She was a first-time home buyer looking for that dream home. First-time home buyers can usually get 0% down on a first home, a 30-year fixed income rate or fixed interest rate. Interest rates right now are 6.92%. And that's going rate for yesterday. It might be higher today. Your monthly payment will be over $2,600. That's with low property taxes and low insurance. You gotta add it.
If you live by the coast here, your homeowner's insurance went up 50%.
Then you add in mortgage insurance, homeowners association fees. Around here, insurance costs over $150 a month. Like Jack said, or even more than that near the ocean. That would increase your payment to about $2,700 a month. And the average income for people down here is between $34,000 and $63,000 a year. What the hell can you buy for that? It's a range of taking home about $500 to $850 a week after taxes.
You can't rent for that.
You can't rent for that. You need at least $20 an hour down here. Sure, you don't see on it. There's no way in hell people living in this stuff, newly married with a kid, could ever afford a home unless it's a shack in the country or you're living under a tent under a bridge.
But that's what
Power.
This administration, not this administration, all administrations have failed people, but this one especially with the high interest rates, sky high home prices that have ruined the opportunity for the American dream to come true. It's a sad country we live in today. We can blame ourselves for letting politicians getting this much power. Yes, my friends, we have been gaslighted once again by these tyrants called politicians. While we're talking about gaslighting, we have a new book coming out very soon. Can you guess
What's the name of it?
It's going to be Politicians Gaslighting Americans, Mike.
Huh.
Topics discussed will be how politicians gaslight crime in America, how they gaslight racism in America, and many other interesting topics.
You said they're painting the cover, right?
They're hopefully painting the cover,
Painting the cover.
designing the cover.
Designing the cover.
I hope it's not painted.
Dennis says it's gonna look just like a cover.
Yeah, it looks like a cover.
I think I got two models. The model for this.
No, we'll give you that release date very soon. Jack, Mike, anything you want to add to that?
Yes.
You can't be a model for it because the Zeppelin has gone away.
Oh yeah. That would be one big book.
Yeah, it's not a coffee table.
Like you were saying, what these people got to understand, they have to start doing some research. I know it. If the people that go to vote are just voting for the same people over and over again. They're not doing any research. They don't know what they're doing or what they're not doing. The other half are not voting at all. This has to do with your children and your grandchildren. They are not going to have a life if it keeps on going the way it is.
Oh, they're going to have a life.
It's going to be a
life of
tough
poverty.
life.
A life of poverty.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, $20 an hour it takes just to rent.
It's going to be a life of 90% taxes. Just like
They're making taxes anytime they want. You got to keep your mouth shut because you're brainwashed. Most
You're
people-
gaslighted.
Yep, they're gaslighting you, and you're okay. I'll take care of that. Jack, you want to get to your Steele dossier?
The Steele dossier. So in May, that's when Clinton started the wrecking ball for the United States. In the spring of 2016, Perkins Coie, a U.S.-based international law firm acting as counsel to the Clinton campaign, retained Fusion GPS, a U.S.-based investigative firm, to conduct opposition research on Trump and his associates. In mid-May 2016, Glenn Simpson of Fusion GPS met with Steele in the United Kingdom and subsequently retained Steele and his firm, Orbis Business Intelligence, Orbis, to investigate Trump's ties to Russia. Beginning in July 2016 and continuing through December 2016, the FBI received a series of reports from Steele and Orbis that contained derogatory information about Trump concerning Trump's purported ties to Russia. Steele provided the first of his reports to the FBI handler in July 5th. These reports were colloquially referred to as the Steele dossier or Steele reports. So it took 2 months for them to get these things, to get these lies together. As noted, it was not until mid-September that the Crossfire Hurricane investigators received several of the Steele reports. Within days of their receipt, the unvetted and unverified Steele reports were used to support probable cause in the FBI's FISA application targeting Page, a U.S. citizen, for a period of time had been an advisor to Trump. As discussed later in the report, this was done at a time when the FBI knew that the same information Steele had provided to the FBI had also been fed to the media and others in Washington, D.C., which I'd like to know who leaked that because it's supposed to be top secret. That's why they're going through the FISA courts. And you can see that the people of Clinton worked on this for 2 months before the FBI got it to clear things up.
Yeah, you're not allowed to, any kind of attorney general stuff is not supposed to be leaked, right?
Well, when you're going through this FISA, that's why you're going through the FISA, so not everybody can know about it, you know. In particular, one allegation contained in an undated Steele report identified as 2016/95 described a well-developed conspiracy of cooperatives between Trump and his campaign and senior Russian officials. This allegation would ultimately underpin the 4 FISA applications targeting Page. Specifically, the allegation stated. So this is what they sent to the FISA so that you get it. Speaking in confidence, to a compatriot in late July 2016, Source E, an ethnic Russian close associate of Republican U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump, admitted that there was a well-developed conspiracy of cooperation between them and the Russian leadership. This was managed on the Trump side by the Republican candidate's campaign manager, Paul Manafort, who was using foreign policy advisor Carter Page and others as intermediaries. The two sides had mutual interest in defeating Democrat presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, whom President Putin apparently both hated and feared. So Page said he never met Manafort, and none of this was true because they didn't have any corroborating evidence, and that's what they sent in. Igor Dichenko, Steele's primary subsource. The FBI learned that Steele replied primarily on a U.S.-based Russian national, Igor Dichenko, to collect information that ultimately formed the core allegations found in the report. In December 2016, the FBI identified Dichenko as Steele's primary subsource. Dichenko agreed to meet with the FBI. He met with Crossfire Hurricane investigators in January 24th, 25th, and 26th of 2017. Dichenko was unable to provide any corroborating evidence to support the Steele allegations and further described his interactions with his subsource as a rumor and speculation and conversation of casual nature. Significant parts of what Dichenko told the FBI were inconsistent with what Steele told the FBI during his prior interview in October and September. At no time, however, was the FISC informed of these inconsistencies. Moreover, notwithstanding the repeated assertions in the Page FISA application that Steele's primary subsource was based in Russia, Dichenko for many years lived in Washington, D.C. area. After learning that Dichenko continued to live in the Washington area and had not left except for domestic and foreign travel, the FBI never corrected this assertion in the 3 subsequent Page FISA renewal applications. Rather, beginning in March 2017, the FBI engaged Dichenko as an informant and began making regular financial payments to him for information, none of which was corroborated to Steele. So they lied on the FISA report on that too, saying that Dichenko was a Russian living in Russia. Meanwhile, he lived in Washington, D.C. and was just hanging out there.
And giving them a paycheck.
Yeah. So here's my 2 questions. Where did this guy come from? And why was he always able to find people with intel clearance or with future intel clearance? And with this guy, Dichenko, did the FBI tell the Clintons of him, or did Clinton tell the FBI about him? Because she was the Secretary
Clinton
of
was the
State.
Secretary of State, right?
Yeah. Here we go. Unresolved prior FBI counterintelligence investigation of Dichenko. So this is before they used him as an informant. FBI knew in January 2017 that Dichenko had been the subject of an FBI counterintelligence investigation from 2009 to 2011. In late 2008, while Dichenko was employed by the Brookings Institute, he engaged 2 fellow employees about whether one of the employees might be willing or able to, in the future, to provide classified information in exchange for money. Dichenko informed the employee that he had access to people who were willing to pay for classified information. The concerned employee passed this information to the U.S. government contact, and the information was subsequently passed to the FBI. The FBI converted its investigation into a full investigation after learning that Dichenko, 1, had been identified as an associate of 2 FBI counterintelligence subjects, and 2 had previously contact with the Russian embassy and known Russian intelligence officers. Also, at that time earlier, agents had interviewed several former colleagues of Dichenko who raised concerns about Dichenko's potential involvement with Russian intelligence. For example, one such colleague who had interned at a U.S. intelligence agency informed the office that Dichenko frequently inquired about that person's knowledge of specific Russian military matters. Meanwhile, in July 2010, the FBI initiated a request to use FISA authorities against Dichenko, which was subsequently routed to the department attorneys in August 2010. However, the investigation into Dichenko was closed in March 2011 after the FBI incorrectly concluded that Dichenko left the country and returned to Russia. So how did they get that?
Mike,
You think the FBI were able to handle this man very easily, being that he was under investigation? So,
And they were paying him $1 million.
right, so they'll say, look, you do what we say and say what we say. We'll pay you, and all that other stuff will go away.
Knowing that Hillary Clinton was going to run for president, didn't know who she was going to run, but it was her ace up the sleeve.
Yeah.
Our review found no indication that Crossfire Hurricane investigators ever attempted to resolve the prior Dichenko espionage matter before opening him as a paid informant. Moreover, our investigation found no indication that the Crossfire Hurricane investigators disclosed the existence of Dichenko's unresolved counterintelligence investigation to the department's attorneys, who were responsible for drafting the FISA renewal applications targeting Carter Page. As a result, the FISC was never advised of information that very well may have affected the FISC's view of Steele's primary subsource and Steele's reliability and trustworthiness. Equally important is the fact that not resolving Dichenko's status visa, the Russian intelligence service, it appears the FBI never gave appropriate consideration to the possibility that the intelligence Dichenko was providing to Steele, which again, according to Dichenko himself, made up a significant majority of the information in Steele's dossier reports, was in whole or in part Russian disinformation.
Wow.
Then I'll get on to this guy here.
a couple months.
I gotta go. Dichenko's relationship with Charles Dunlin. Dichenko maintained a relationship with Charles Dunlin, a Virginia-based public relations professional who had previously held multiple positions and roles in the Democratic National Committee, the DNC, and the Democratic Party. Dolan focused much of his career interacting with Eurasian clients with a particular focus on Russia. Dolan previously conducted business with the Russian Federation and maintained relationships with several key Russian government officials, including Dmitry Peskov, the powerful press secretary of Russian president administration. Many of these Russians would later show up in the Steele dossier. In the summer and fall of 2016, at the time Dichenko was collecting information for Steele, Dolan traveled to Moscow, as did Dichenko, in connection with a business conference. The business conference was held at the Ritz-Carlton in Moscow, which, according to the Steele reports, was allegedly the site of salacious sexual conduct on the part of Trump. Dichenko would later inform the FBI that he learned of these allegations through Ritz-Carlton staff members. Our investigation, however, revealed that it was Dolan, not Dichenko, who actually interacted with the hotel staff identified in the Steele reports. So between the two, Dolan appears the more likely source of the allegation. Our investigation also uncovered that Dolan was the definitive source for at least one allegation in the Steele report concerning circumstances surrounding the resignation of Paul Manafort and the Trump campaign. When interviewed by the office, Dolan admitted that he fabricated the allegations about Manafort that appeared in the Steele dossier.
Do I look at it?
All there in black and white.
The DOJ is in a quandary right now. FBI, CIA.
There is no FBI.
That's right, it's KGB.
There is no FBI, folks. And let me tell you something. If you don't think they're coming after you, ask those parents that went to those school board meetings.
Yep.
Talk to those two guys that were Democrat journalists. As they were testifying in Congress, the IRS was knocking on their door. looking for their tax returns. You don't think they're coming for you, baby? Woo!
They want to be the premier law enforcement agency in the country. But they have a great credibility problem. You know, can't trust them. They lie to the American people.
Well, what do they call them? Secret police, right? When they start working for the government?
Secret Service.
Well, you know what? I call them military police officers.
Yeah.
You know, some heads need to roll. And like Mike said, immediate firings need to take place.
Yeah, I don't understand. Now,
These
nobody
people
has
don't.
been fired.
These people don't deserve to be in jail. They deserve to be in hell.
You know,
Because for 4 years of this guy's administration, we were bogged down with this. And don't forget who had control of the government. Paul Ryan,
Yeah.
Mitch McConnell. These were the guys that kept throwing these things in Trump's way as he was trying to go. And the United States press.
And that hurt us.
Yeah.
Because he was trying to make this country better for us. And they put it on stall because they wanted it their way.
Unified.
you know, this is great information by Durham, and hopefully Congress will make some changes. But
As you
again,
choke on your words.
and then they're sheeple anyway. You know, but trying to wake up people is hard, very hard.
Yeah.
You know, it's important that we do our best and we play a part in getting the message out about these radical politicians that are ruining America. We, the people, must push back. You can't be a follower anymore.
No.
These wolves in sheep clothing are coming for us. We must be ready. When a politician has a town hall meeting, get involved.
Yeah.
Attend that meeting. Start asking questions as to why they have ruined our country. Tell family and friends to show up and show these tyrants that this is our government. I'll be right with you, Mike.
Okay.
Demand term limits. Demand border security. Demand they change their ways. It's our time to say we're done with you clowns. We need to start uniting this country. Black, white, male, female, or these radicals will win. We are in a fight not only for our lives, but for our rights. So get involved today. Don't be the sheeple. Mike?
Like, what I want to say is, if you believe what Dennis and Jack are saying, search it out for yourself. If you don't believe what Jack and Dennis are saying about these people, look it up for yourself. You got to start doing something, folks. It's going to affect your children and your grandchildren if you don't.
Jack, yours.
My last words are the FBI's failure to interview Charles Nolan. Our investigation revealed that Crossfire Hurricane investigators were aware of Nolan and his connections to Duchenko and the Steele report. In fact, as discussed, in early October 2016, Steele informed the FBI that Nolan was a person who might have relevant information about Trump. The FBI interviewed hundreds of individuals through the course of the Crossfire Hurricane and later investigations, and yet it did not interview Dolan as a possible source of information about Trump. Duchenko claims regarding Sergei Malin. I don't think I'm saying his name right, but perhaps the most damning allegation in the Steele dossier reports was company reported 2016-95, which Steele attributes to Source E, one of Duchenko's supposed subsources. This report, portion of which were included in each of the 4-page FISA applications, contributed to the public narrative of Trump's conspiring and colluding with Russian officials. Duchenko alleged sources for the information. Source E was an individual by the name of Sergei Malin, who was the president of the Russian-American Chamber of Commerce in New York City and a public Trump supporter. The evidence uncovered by the office showed that Duchenko never spoke with Sergio and simply fabricated the allegations that he attributed to Milan. When interviewed by Crossfire Hurricane investigators in late January 2017, Duchenko stated that he never actually met Sergio. Instead, he said that in late July 2016, he received an anonymous call from a person who did not identify himself, but who spoke with a Russian accent. Duchenko further explained that he thought it might have been Sergio, someone Duchenko previously had emailed twice and received no response after watching a YouTube video of Milan speaking. Total support for the Source E information contained in the Steele report as a purported anonymous call from someone Duchenko had never met or spoken to, but who he believed might be Sergio, a Trump supporter, based on his listening to a YouTube video of Sergio. FBI Crossfire Hurricane failed to investigate these allegations. They not even look at the phone records.
It's crazy.
Wow.
Corrupt, evil people.
You want this 316 page, just go under Durham, John Durham, and it'll come up United States Department of Justice with the official seal on it. It's his.
Like I said, do your research.
You don't believe me? Good. And I'm going to look at that section 4. I'm going to try and cut it down a little bit smaller. But when I was reading this, I just couldn't figure out how to cut it down smaller. It was just so fluid and like unbelievable. This is our government, folks. This is our government. And the Trump, when he was president, Republicans had all 3 branches of government with 3 appointed conservative judges to the Supreme Court. Nothing. And Clinton, she's still on TV telling everybody.
Yeah.
The Coolio, I mean, they got balls that clank, man.
They tried to break the election.
They tried.
They tried to take it away from us.
They did.
Yeah.
Look what they did. I mean, this guy's 4 years was spent in turmoil of this.
Yeah.
Cost him hundreds of millions of dollars, and it's still going
And all
on
he wanted
today.
to do was make life better for
I mean,
Americans.
he got indicted on 34 charges in Manhattan that are bogus. They're against the law. Again, like we're saying, folks, the United States government is using the law to break the law.
Yep. Scary stuff.
You know, the Democratic Party is no longer a champion of the people like they were when I was growing up in upstate New York. The Republican Party has always been a party for the rich and the corporations. That
They're
hasn't
not a
changed.
party at all.
And they're just a bunch of followers anyway.
Under the leadership of Mitch McConnell, did that.
Media organizations have become irrelevant to society since they no
They go for
longer
the highest
represent
bidder.
real news. They're all fake, and like politicians, they're also radicals.
Yeah.
We cannot trust the media. We cannot trust the Republican and Democratic parties.
Can't trust the FBI.
Yeah, you can't trust the FBI or the DOJ, since they only spread disinformation and lies. So, Jack, you said about definition of gaslighting.
I love this definition.
There's 2 parts. Number 1, psychological manipulation of a person, usually over an extended period of time, that causes the victim to question the validity of their own thoughts, perception of reality, or memories, and typically leads to confusion, loss of confidence, and self-esteem, the uncertainty of one's emotional or mental stability, and a dependency on the perpetrator. Number 2, the act or practice of grossly misleading someone, especially for one's own advantage.
No way.
If that isn't politicians,
That is, we got
I
the
mean,
perfect, you came up with the perfect title for that.
if that isn't these politicians in the media,
wow.
tell me who is. Mike, can you lead us in prayer?
Yeah. The name of this prayer, by the way, is Blessings of Wisdom.
Oh, we need that in this country.
Ecclesiastes 2:26. For God giveth man that is good in his sight wisdom and knowledge and joy. Let's pray. Dear Lord Father, when we came to you, Lord, we expected forgiveness for our sins. But you have offered so much more. Not only do you give us the freedom from wrongdoings that we were seeking, you also give us 3 wonderful ways to live well and glorify you. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for the knowledge of how to live in your sight. And thank you for the joy that floods our souls. Wisdom, knowledge, and joy are the largeness that accompanies forgiveness, an unexpected blessing to our souls. Your generous gifts are beyond compare. Teach us to live in your wisdom, knowledge, and joy. May they bless us, our families, and even the entire world around us. We pray this in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen.
Make sure you do your own research. It's fun, number one.
It's astounding.
Makes you, it opens your eyes a lot more. Because
While you're doing your research, please, please, please read the Constitution